Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, page 78b. Top of the page, new Mishnah. Ashochet es a toida lifni menachmo chutz lechoima lo Chadash alechem. Shochet shelo kamo panei hamatano afidu kamo kulan chad mehen lo Chadash alechem. The Mishnah says, in the case of one who slaughters the thanks offering in its proper place inside the temple courtyard, and at that time its 40 loaves were outside the wall, the loaves were not consecrated. Likewise, if he slaughtered the thanks offering before the surface of the loaves formed a crust in the oven, and even if the surface of all the loaves formed a crust except for one of them, the loaves were not consecrated. That's the Mishnah. Now the Talmud. Zog the Talmud, my chutz lechoima. Rabbi Yochanan Amar chutz lechoimas beis pagi. Reish Lakish Amar chutz lechomas hazoreh. The Gemara clarifies what is meant by outside the wall. Rabbi Yochanan says it means outside the wall of Beit Pagi in Jerusalem, Bethphage. And Reish Lakish says it means outside the wall of the temple courtyard. Reish Lakish Amar chutz lechoimas hazoreh be'inan al v'samuch. The Gemara elaborates. Reish Lakish says that it means outside the wall of the temple courtyard because the verse states, with regard to the loaves of thanks offering, then he shall sacrifice with the thanks offering unleavened cakes mingled with oil. Leviticus 7:12. And we require that the thanks offering be slaughtered strictly with the accompanying loaves. Al, it says al halechem, right? I guess. All. The word all. With the accompanying loaves, meaning with the loaves nearby. If the loaves are outside the wall of the temple courtyard, they are not considered nearby. Rabbi Yochanan Amar chutz lechoimas beis pagi. Aval chutz lazoreh kadosh. V'lo beinan al v'samuch. Rabbi Yochanan says, if the loaves are outside the wall of Beis Pagi, they are not consecrated because it is prohibited to eat the loaves outside the wall of Beis Pagi. Since if they were taken outside the wall of Beis Pagi, they would be disqualified because they were removed from their permitted area. They cannot be consecrated if they are there. But if they were merely outside the temple courtyard, where they may be eaten, they are consecrated. And we do not require that the thanks offering be slaughtered strictly with the accompanying loaves, meaning nearby. The Gemara objects, why is it necessary for Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish to disagree with regard to a case where the loaves were situated outside the wall when the thanks offering was slaughtered? But didn't they already disagree with regard to this matter one other time? Ditnan ashaychet es a pesach ala chometz oiver v'lo isasi. Rabbi Yehuda oimer afato min v'masher reish lo'elam eno chay rad shetehei oil ashaychet oil azoyrek oil echa v'mechaburo imoy bazaro. Rabbi Yochanan Omar af al pi she'en imoy bazoro. This is, as we learned in the Mishnah Pesachim 63a, with regard to the slaughtering of a paschal offering. Pesach is coming up soon. One who slaughters the paschal offering with leavened bread, still in his possession, transgresses a prohibition, as the verse states, you shall not sacrifice the blood of my offering with leavened bread, lo tizbach al dam zivchi al chametz, something like that. Neither shall the offering of the festival of Passover be left over until the morning. Exodus 34:25. Rabbi Yehuda says even one who slaughters a daily afternoon offering on Passover Eve with leavened bread in his possession transgresses the prohibition. And Rish Lakish says actually one is not liable unless the leavened bread is in the possession of the one who slaughters the offering, or the one who sprinkles his blood, or one of the members of the group, and the leavened bread is with that person in the temple courtyard. And Rabbi Yochanan says one is liable even if the leavened bread is not with that person in the temple courtyard. Evidently, they already disagree with regard to the beginning of the word all. Gemara replies, it is necessary to state the dispute concerning both matters as if their disagreement were stated only with regard to that matter of the paschal offering. One might think that only with regard to that matter. Rabbi Yochanan said that one is liable even if the leavened bread is not inside the temple courtyard, since wherever there is leavened bread, its owner stands in violation of the prohibition against owning leavened bread at that time. But with regard to the matter of the consecration of the loaves of the thanks offering, one could say that he concedes to Reish Lakish that if the loaves are inside the temple courtyard when the thanks offering is slaughtered, they are consecrated. But if they are outside, they are not consecrated. And if their disagreement were stated only with regard to this matter of the loaves of the thanks offering, one might think that only with regard to this matter. One moment here. Let's go back to the beginning of the paragraph. And if their disagreement, saying here. We'll get back to you. Okay, we're back here. And if the disagreement were stated only with regard to this matter of the loaves of the thanks offering, one might think that only with regard to this matter, Reish Lakish says that the loaves are consecrated only if they were within the walls of the temple courtyard. But with regard to that matter of the paschal offering, one could say that he concedes to Rabbi Yochanan that one is liable for slaughtering the paschal offering while in possession of leavened bread, even if it was not with him inside the temple courtyard, as whatever there is leavened bread, its owner stands in violation of the prohibition against owning leavened bread at that time. Therefore, it is necessary to state the dispute concerning both matters. Tanya goes to Rabbi Yochanan Loi Chadash Alechem. The Gemara notes it is taught in a Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. In the case of one who slaughters the thanksgiving offering inside the temple courtyard, and at that time his loaves were outside the walls of Beit Pagi, the loaves were not consecrated. The Mishnah teaches, if he slaughtered the thanks offering before the surface of the loaves formed a crust in the oven, the loaves were not consecrated. The next Mishnah also teaches if one slaughtered the thanks offering not for its sake, the loaves were not consecrated. The Tanabanan al Chalash Lechem Chamet Yaakov Korban el Zevach Belav Shein Halechem Kodosh Elaim Kain Komu Ponei Abatanu Yaakov Korban el Zevach Melamed Shein Halechem Kodosh Ela Veshchita Zevach Zevach Toidas Melamed Sheim Shochat. The Gemara seeks to clarify from where are these matters derived. As the sages taught, the verse states with regard to the loaves accompanying the thanks offering with cakes of leavened bread, he shall present his offering with the sacrifice of his peace offerings or thanks. Leviticus 7:13. This teaches that the loaves are not consecrated unless the surface of the loaves formed a crust in the oven, as only then can they be considered cakes of leavened bread. The phrase, he shall present his offering with the sacrifice, teaches that the loaves are consecrated only upon the slaughtering of the offering. The phrase, the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanks, teaches that if one slaughtered the offering not for its sake, the loaves were not consecrated. Tanu Abanon. Yoitzi mimatzah, no, mimatzah hasuya be'ilpas. Mai matzah na, Amar Yehuda Mashmuel, kol sheposa ve'ein chutin nimshochin heimeno. On a similar note, the sages taught one fulfills the obligation to eat matzah on Passover with half done, meaning not fully baked, matzah with matzah made in a stew pot rather than baked in an oven. The Gemara asks, what constitutes half-done matzah? Yehuda says that Shmuel says, it is any matzah that is sufficiently baked such that if one breaks it, threads of dough are not drawn from it. Amar Rave, v'chein le'nin lachmeito, idab shito, ha'chalechem ksiv, ha'chalechem ksiv. Rava said, and so this is the halach with regard to the matter of the loaves of the thanks offering, meaning, if the loaves were already half done at the time of the slaughter of the thanks offering, they are consecrated. The Gemara asks, why is it necessary for Rava to state this? Isn't it obvious? Here, with regard to matzah, the term bread is written, Deuteronomy 16:3. And here, with regard to the loaves of the thanks offering, the term bread is written, the Gemara responds, lest you say that the merciful one states with regard to the loaves of the thanks offering, and of it he shall present one of each offering for a gift unto the Lord, Leviticus 7:14. This indicates that one may not take sliced bread for the thanks offering, and this half-done bread is considered like one that is sliced, as it will break apart upon being lifted, and it should consequently be disqualified for the bread of the thanks offering. Before Rava teaches us that once it is baked to that point, it is considered as one loaf, and it is valid for the thanks offering. Itmal toda sheshachata al shmonim chalois chizki amar kadishu aboy mitoch shmoinim v'Rab Yochanan amar lo kadishu aboy mitoch shmoinim. It was stated that there is a dispute among the Moraim with regard to a thanks offering that one slaughtered accompanied by 80 loaves rather than the required 40. Chizki says 40 of the 80 loaves are consecrated, and Rabbi Yochanan says not even 40 of the 80 loaves are consecrated. With regard to this dispute, Rabbi Zera says everyone. Even Rabbi Yochanan concedes that in a case where the individual bringing the offering said, let 40 of the 80 loaves be consecrated, that 40 are consecrated. Likewise, everyone concedes that where he said 40 should not be consecrated, unless 80 will be consecrated, that they were not consecrated. They disagree when one brings 80 loaves without specification. One sage, Chizki, holds he intends to consecrate only 40 of them, but he brought 80 in order to guarantee that there will be sufficient loaves. And one sage, Rabbi Yochanan, holds he intends to bring a large offering of 80 loaves. Consequently, none of the loaves are consecrated. Abaye Omar, the Kuli Amalach Rayos Komachavin, Uvechali Shoreis Mikachin Shlemidas Komi Miflegi Malsova Kain Malsova Klei Shores Mikachin Shloimidas, Malsova Klei Shores Ein Mikachin Shloimidas. Abai offered another explanation of the dispute and said, everyone agrees that he intends to guarantee that there will be sufficient loaves, and they disagree with regard to whether the service vessels consecrate the appropriate measure without the intention of the one bringing the offering. One sage, Chizkiah, holds that service vessels consecrate items without intention. Accordingly, the knife that slaughters a thanks offering and consecrates its accompanying loaves consecrates 40 of the 80. And one sage, Rabbi Yochanan, holds that service vessels do not consecrate items without intention. Rav Papa Omar, V'hocha b'sakin komichli. Mal Sofer sakin mekadeshes kichli shores. Mal Sofer sakin kevan deles lei toch eno mekadeshes kichli shores. Rav Papa offered another explanation of the dispute and said, everyone agrees that service vessels consecrate items without intention, and here they disagree with regard to whether this is also the halacha with regard to slaughtering a knife, with the slaughtering knife. One sage Chizkiah holds that the knife consecrates items as a service vessel does, and one sage Rabbi Yochanan holds that since the knife has no inside, it is not consecrate items as a service vessel does. Yehoshua sakin elimom b'klei shores diafagav deis lei toch mikadesho umal sovan sakin lo elima le b'klei shores. And there are those who say that Rav Papa said everyone agrees that service vessels consecrate items only with intention, and here they disagree with regard to the ability of the slaughtering knife to consecrate without intention. One sage Chizkiah holds that the power of the knife to consecrate items is stronger than that of other service vessels, and even though it has no inside, it consecrates items, and therefore it also consecrates items without intention. And one sage Rabbi Yochanan holds that the power of the knife to consecrate items is not stronger than that of other service vessels, and like all other service vessels, it does not consecrate items without intention. Okay? We made it to the new Mishnah, and now it's a matter of just a few more minutes. New Mishnah. The Mishnah says, if one slaughtered the thanks offering with the intent to partake of it, or to burn the sacrificial portions beyond its designated time, or outside its designated area, and the offering was rendered pickle or was disqualified, respectively, the loaves were consecrated, or either rendered pickle or disqualified. If one slaughtered the thanks offering and it was discovered that it was an animal with a wound that would have caused it to die within 12 months, the loaves were not consecrated, as to cause the animal's disqualification preceded its slaughter. If one slaughtered the thanks offering and it was discovered that it is a blemished animal, that may not be sacrificed, but if it ascended the altar, it may be sacrificed. Rabbi Eliezer says he has consecrated the loaves, since if the offering ascends the altar, it is sacrificed, and the rabbis say he has not consecrated the loaves, since it may not be sacrificed ab initio. If one slaughtered the thanks offering, not for its own sake, for the sake of another offering, and likewise if one slaughtered the ram of inauguration not for its sake, I don't understand that. Wasn't the ram of inauguration only a one-time thing? I don't know why they're talking about it here, but okay. Whatever, let's continue not for its sake, and likewise, if one slaughtered the communal peace offering of 2 sheep that accompanied the 2 loaves on Shavuot, not for their own sake, the loaves were not consecrated. That's the Mishnah, now the Talmud. Zog the Talmud, Masni Sinmani, Rabbi Meir. The Mishnah teaches that if one slaughtered the thanks offering with the intent to partake of it beyond its designated time or outside its designated area, the loaves become consecrated. The Mishnah also teaches that if the thanks offering was slaughtered and it was discovered that it was a treifa, the loaves were not consecrated. But if it was discovered to have a blemish, Rabbi Eliezer says that the loaves were consecrated, and the rabbis say that they were not. The Gemara asks, whose opinion is expressed in the Mishnah? It is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. The Tanya is Ze'aklal, Kol shebisuli koidim shchita lo kadosh lechem, bisuli achar shchita kadosh lechem, shachta chutz dizman v'chutz b'koima kadosh lechem, shachta v'nim zitrepa kadosh lechem. As it is taught in a Braita, this is the principle. Any instance in which this disqualification of the thanks offering proceeded its slaughter, the loaves were not consecrated, and any instance in which its disqualification came into existence after slaughter, the loaves were consecrated. Therefore, if one slaughtered the thanks offering with the intent to partake of it, or to burn the sacrificial portions beyond its designated time or outside its designated area, the loaves were consecrated, as the offering remained fit until after its slaughter. But if one slaughtered the thanks offering and it was discovered that it was a treifa, the loaves were not consecrated, as the cause of the animal's disqualification preceded its slaughter.